However, the most absurd product of the Soviet Union was the attempt to create an ape-man hybrid using artificial insemination on female chimpanzees. Stalin thought that a hybrid with the strength of an ape and the brain of a human would be the perfect soldier. Fortunately, the project never succeeded and was shut down when the lead scientist suggested that maybe they should try it the other way. But there are rumors that this was just the official explanation to calm down the public, and in reality, the project continued for much longer. And that's where we leave it for now. Happy Halloween, y'all. Mr. Brown giggles as he closes the PPT and shuts down the projector, similarly to the class which he is teaching. Of course, he was only a few years older than us, and he always made sure to make history lessons interesting. And he certainly scored a goal. With this one, the girls make sure to look disgusted after giggling between each other, and a jock shouts that the project was obviously successful. You just have to look at Steve to confirm it. Then the class spreads out to enjoy the autumn break. I think most of them forgot about the topic a few days later, but the words stuck with me for some reason, especially those last ones. There was something deeply unsettling about the picture of weird creatures, which are too human to be monkeys, and too monkeys to be humans. What if the project really didn't end there? What if some mad scientist eventually succeeded? But if it was successful, how come no one heard about it? The Russians probably would have used those soldiers if they ever came to life. Obviously, I forgot it about too, just some weeks later than the others. This was, until many years, and a history degree later I stumbled upon an article about a project in Florida in the 1910s, which supposedly did succeed at creating a human Z. It was destroyed due to the pressure of the scientific community, but later they did it again in China with similar results. The creatures were supposedly able to speak a few words, and were much smarter than any other chimp. Then how come the Soviets never succeeded? This question kept haunting me after, and led me to read everything I could find about the topic. And after doing so, I became more and more certain that the joke of Mr. Brown was not a joke at all, even though he probably didn't know it himself either. The articles all agreed that the lead scientist was officially banned from continuing the project after the suggestion of artificially inseminating human females with ape sperm. However, some books did mention that after this event the scientist got deported into a private lab in Siberia, where then he disappeared for 12 years. Some even claimed that he came back after with an arm missing. After reading this, I was even more desperate to find my answers. I needed to know where that laboratory is and what happened to it. Finding the laboratory on the internet was surprisingly easy. It was in the northern part of Siberia, miles away from the closest village, surrounded by a pine forest. I only found an old picture of it, as probably no one set a foot in that part of the world for decades. A 2-story, flat, gray building with barbed wires, and a sign around it. The sign was in Russian, but fortunately the photo was good enough for Google Translate. The sign read the usual "keep out" and "danger stuff," and an interesting note on the bottom, which I didn't even notice, but luckily, Google Lens did. Do not go near the cages. Of course, this could have referred to basically any animal, but it gave me hope. And after months and several bad decisions, I was in a rented Jeep, driving through a snowstorm in the middle of nowhere at northern Siberia. And then as the storm finally started to somewhat calm down, there it was, the 2-story, gray building surrounded by the forest. The wires were either gone or covered in snow, but the sign was still there. Its stand was broken, so it was standing in a weird angle, and the text wasn't visible by any means, but the sign was there. The building itself wasn't in a good shape either, but at least it was still standing. The windows were broken, and the front door was either wide open or missing. However, it still stood, and the walls were in a surprisingly good shape. I didn't know where to find my so-needed answers, if not here, so I turned on my flashlight and entered. My first impression was that it was surprisingly warm inside, probably because the wind wasn't as strong, but it was still surprising, and it wasn't even that dark. I didn't turn off my light, but I barely needed it. As I searched through the offices, on the ground floor, I didn't really find anything apart from everyday office stuff and some frozen papers, which basically broke to tiny shreds as soon as I touched them. That I started hearing more and more noises from above. At first, I thought that it's just the wind ramming through the broken windows, but soon it got clear that something was moving above me. Footsteps, closing doors, and falling objects. I started to panic, as I didn't find anything viable yet, and who knows what animal moved in since humans left the building years ago. And then I found the stairs leading down to the basement. After a short hesitation, I figured that the animal above me didn't seem to know how to get down, and if I came this far for my answers, I shouldn't give them up this easy. The basement was dark, and as my light fell on the object, it quickly got weird. Really weird. It was like an animal shelter, a psychiatrist's office, and a kindergarten mixed together. There were cells or cages among the walls, with chains in some of them, mixed with toys, and children's books everywhere. This part of the building was also in a much better shape than the above, probably because it was fully closed apart from the stairs, which were only accessible through a closed room, and neither the weather or the animals could get down here because of that. At the end of the basement there was another small office. As I slowly walked closer, the animal sound started again, from above me. Again, I started walking faster and faster, and was really hoping whatever makes the sounds doesn't decide to follow me even further down here. At last, I reached the office. There wasn't much left in there apart from a desk, with an ancient-looking microscope, a shelf, and a chest of drawers in a corner. As neither the desk or the shelf had any papers on them, I chose the third option, and I finally found my prize in the fourth drawer, a work diary. It was yellow and stained, but at least not frozen, and didn't fall apart as I grabbed it. Now I only needed to get back to my car, but the noises from above still didn't stop. I quietly walked back to the stairs and waited until a longer period of silence, then made a run for it, and nothing was there on the ground floor. Nothing, apart from push chairs and the swinging door of the room. As I ran through the front door, noises started coming from the offices behind, but I didn't look back until I was in the car. I didn't see anything in the building, but as I focused back on the tracks which I made on my way there, I caught a glimpse of a human-like silhouette standing in the forest. But still, I made it out alive, and got the answers for my absurd curiosity. Back at home, I gave the diary to one of my Russian-speaking colleagues, one of the few who I fully trusted, and after months of work, he was able to translate some of the writings. It's not full, and there are still lots of missing pieces, but it's enough to understand the horrors of what happened in that laboratory around 1910. Day 293 since Project 2 started. I knew it. After all those years of saying that we should do it this way, they finally accepted. I said multiple times that this way the embryo will have more space to grow, resulting in a higher chance of birth, but no one listened. But today Subject 4 gave successful birth to Aspect 1. Aspect 1 shows no sign of disorders. Day 299. Subject 4 undergone the protocol and left the project. Aspect 1 is still healthy. Day 348. Aspect 1 got euthanized so autopsy could be performed. Aspect 2 and 3 born without complications. Day 355. Results of autopsy on Aspect 1. Brain shows 99.8% similarity with similar-aged Homo sapiens sapiens. Face structure shows 67% similarity with similar-aged pan troglodytes. Vocal cords show 88% similarity with similar-aged Homo sapiens sapiens, potentially allowing aspects to form human words. Body plan shows 78% similarity with similar-aged pan troglodytes, potentially allowing aspects to have the desired resistance and strength. Upper and lower arms show 89% similarity with similar-aged pan troglodytes. Hands show 93% similarity with similar-aged Homo sapiens sapiens. Legs show 81% similarity with similar-aged Homo sapiens sapiens, potentially allowing aspects to walk upright. Feet show 68% similarity with similar-aged pan troglodytes. Day 650. Aspect 7 Sergei shows extraordinary learning curve, ability of walking upright, and speaking already in highly developed state. Day 878. First generation reached stable state. Project C2 is considered successful. Project G1 allowed to start. Day 2267. First G1 aspect born successfully. Aspect C27 Sergei acquired needed physical and mental condition to start training project. Day 2922. First G1 generation reached stable state. G1 generation seemingly grows faster than C2, but has a lower learning curve. Aspect C27 Sergei showed minimal signs of negative behavior during training project, but the signs are under the critical level. Day 3000. Sergei seems to be up to something. He performs well on tests and helps the other generations learn, but he is getting more and more hostile towards the caretakers. Letter sent to Project Funder. Day 3493. Sergei needed to be contained as other aspects near him started being hostile to humans. Letter sent to Project Funder, day 3501. The project is still going, but the funder agreed to keep aspect C27 contained until he shows no hostile reaction to humans. Day 3647, 3648. Those monkeys escaped. I don't know how the hell did Sergey lure Dimitrich to the cage, but we should have cancelled this project right after when he bit that soldier. There are monkeys everywhere. Currently, I'm in my office, and I probably won't be able to leave soon, because those damn gorillas are patrolling the stairs, and the morons are smart. Yesterday it was silent for hours, so I decided to make a run for it. It's freaking cold outside, and you can't see a thing in the forest, but they are there as well, and somehow, they didn't freeze to death. Also, they are experts at climbing trees, just as we wanted, but that sight will haunt me forever. One of those things nearly took my arm. When the little thing launched itself at me, I'm pretty sure it was aspect C218. She had those devilish eyes since her birth. But still, seeing that face, with the human eyes too far apart from each other and yet still not far enough, staring at you, would be enough to make most scared alone. Not to mention that while it stares into your soul, the damn monkey tries to pull you into the woods while nearly ripping your arm off. I don't even remember how I managed to escape, but now I'm here, trapped in my office. At some point, I'll have to make a run for it again. I think I'm the last one left, and I won't last long if I stay here. Fortunately, they are still too scared to come down to the basement. These are the notes that my friend managed to translate so far. The worst thing about this is that the last translated one is the last in the diary, so we probably never get to know how the scientists got out, and what happened to the aspects remaining around the laboratory. I hope that they eventually got rid of them somehow, but my experience with getting the papers tells me otherwise. The problem with this is that neither a human or any ape lives for around 120 years. How come there were still some creatures there? Or were they just scared locals who didn't know who am I? I can't tell for sure, and I probably never be able to, but something tells me that humans wouldn't be so scared of another human that they wouldn't dare to show themselves, and they were still too afraid to go down to the basement.